So religion was never a topic that I would think of or even care about. It said that, you know, God created the world in 6 days, and on the 7th day he rested and got refreshed. It didn't make sense. I was like, God rested, refreshed, like maybe I should look into Buddhism. Buddhism is not, like, it's not a religion, okay? So after Buddhism, the next thing I looked into was actually Hinduism. And I start asking God that if this is my time, please take me painlessly. And I start saying my Shahada. I cried. I literally started crying. Assalamu alaikum, brothers and sisters. So to start, I'm originally from Russia, and my mom is Christian and my dad is Jewish. So I was raised in a semi-religious Jewish Christian family. And personally, I never cared about God. It was never a topic for me. I felt like it was just, you know, stories of my grandma. So religion was never a topic that I would think of or even care about until I hit my teenage years and I hit depression and just overwhelming emotions and going through a whole bunch of stuff that I felt that I need to connect with something higher. So I decided to look into God. And when I started reading the Bible, it was like, for the first page, for example, it said that, you know, God created the world in 6 days, and on the 7th day he rested and got refreshed. To me, it was just, it didn't make sense. I was like, God rested, refreshed, like, no, you know, it was not feeling right. I felt like these are human qualities. In my mind, I felt like God is something, you know, he's our creator, he's something bigger, doesn't need no rest, he doesn't need none of that. So I saw the flaws in the Bible. So I figured, you know what, I was right. It is the tales of the ancients, nobody cares about it, forget it. But maybe it is not Christianity, maybe I'm just looking to a wrong religion, maybe I should look into Buddhism. And so I started looking into Buddhism and concept of Tao, which was actually very interesting, but there was also things that threw me off because Buddhism is not, like, it's not a religion, okay? You could be, you know, a Buddhist Christian, you could be an atheist Christian. Like, Buddhist is just kind of a way of life, I guess. So there was no connection with God for me. So that was also put aside. So after Buddhism, the next thing I looked into was actually Hinduism. I figured they're very ancient religion, you know. Maybe they know what's going on. Maybe I should be meditating Kundalini and, you know, just those kind of things. So I looked into Hinduism, but as soon as I hit the whole, you know, monkey god, 4 hands god, God incarnate, all of that, it was just done. I was like, I can't follow this. So what I looked into after that was polytheism. I was like, you know what, maybe religions of even more ancient people are right. Maybe the whole, you know, statue worshipping thing, like, is a thing. Maybe they're just spirits that created this universe, and if you know, we have these statues, that's how we connect with them. So it was a funny story because at that time I actually decided to go and buy a statue. Yes, I went to the store. It's called Psychic Eye. It's some kind of a new age store, and I walk in there and I'm like, I want to buy a statue of God, do you have any? And as I said that, I realized how dumb I sound, and I'm like, the guy's gonna kick me out of here. But instead, he looks at me, he's like, yes, we do. Which one would you like? And the whole situation was just so hilarious for me. I'm like, what am I doing? I'm thinking to myself, I'm here to buy a statue of God Almighty. And the guy's like, yeah, sure. Like, it's a normal thing. Needless to say, I didn't buy anything. I went home, I was like, you know what? This is the end. I no longer believe in religion. It's all nonsense. I'm crazy, and this gotta stop. And this is how I became an atheist. I decided that there is no God, none of this is true, it's just I'm wasting my time. And that led me to some of the darkest ages of my life. I mean, not caring led me to really not care. I started drinking, I was partying, into criminal activity, doing a lot of bad stuff just because I felt the only way I could get in trouble if I'll get caught, and I'm not gonna get caught. Those deeds though, everything that I was doing, eventually it made me feel miserable. It made me feel like there's just nothing out there, life is pointless. You know, I could do all this evil stuff and I could get a whole bunch of money doing it, but I don't feel happy. I don't feel complete. I don't feel my life is worth anything. And I remember one time, me and my girlfriends, we were actually at a bar, and there was a group of guys standing there, and I could hear the conversation, and I've noticed one of the guys' name was Islam. His name was Islam. And I hear one of them saying that, yeah, there's this religion. Like, I could hear them talking about Islam. I'm not sure even how their conversation about that started, but what I got out of it, that Islam is a religion. And up until then, I used to think Islam is like some city in the Middle East where like these crazy terrorist people are from. I never even considered it a religion. Like, from the religions I was reading about, Islam just never came up. So for me, I was like, man, I don't even know anything about it. Like, so a few days later, I was actually at work, and their conversation kind of popped up into my mind again. So I Googled Islam, found out that their book, they actually have a book, and it's the Quran, and decided to read it. So the first thing I read was beginning of Surah Baqarah, second chapter. And it was talking about how, you know, this message is for those who believe in one God, who believe in the unseen. And it was something about that message. And in the end, where I stopped reading, it said that basically those who do believe in prophets and do believe in the unseen and do believe in God and all of these things. And at that time, I can't even describe what happened. As I was reading it, I started having tears floating out of my eyes. Like, my body started shaking. I started crying. In my brain, I was like, oh my God, this is it. Like, I didn't read nothing else. I have no concept of what Islam is. I just read that first page, and it was like a light bulb in my brain. It was just amazing for me. I could not stop myself from crying. Something happened inside my heart and my mind that I just couldn't stop. And I was at work. I had to leave the office, say, you know, tell them that something serious happened. I have to be outside for a few moments. I went outside and I just cried. Go back in there, Google how to become a Muslim, and it said, you know, you have to read the Shahada. And I, in the English letters, I actually read the Shahada right then and there without having no info on anything else. I just felt like this is what I was looking for, and this is what I was missing. And that's how I became instantly a Muslim. It's just beginning of this whole story of what happens after. I had a near-death experience. And what happened was, I was driving on a highway, and the speed limit there was 75 miles an hour. And my car comes to an incline, and I'm driving and I'm realizing the car is gaining speed, so I want to press brakes to slow the car down. And I press my brakes and the brakes do not work. Yes. I am flooring him 100% to the floor and nothing is happening. And because the car is on the incline, it starts to gain speed. So I'm terrified. I'm terrified. My brain starts processing this information, realizing that this is it. This is how most likely I'm gonna die. And I'm looking at my speedometer and it goes like 75, 80, 85, 90, and it starts going past 90 when I'm realizing that I'm gonna die. And what do? So my first thought was I have to call my mom. I pick up my phone. At that point, I just pick up my phone because I know that I'm done. There's nothing I could do. I want to call her, my phone has no signal. So I put down my phone and I start praying. And I start asking God that if this is my time, please take me painlessly. And I start saying my shahada, which is basically what you're supposed to say when you're, when you're dying. So I said my shahada and I was like, God, if this is it, I'm ready to go. Take me. I don't want to feel pain. I'm done. So I say that and I ask God to basically save me. I said, if you take me, I'm ready. But if you do save me, I promise that I'm going to spend the rest of my life on your path. And as I say that, I press brakes one last time, and subhanallah, it works. And my car starts slowing down. I cried. I literally started crying. I stopped the car eventually, and for a few minutes, I was just crying nonstop. I was shaking. It was very enlightening. In the morning, I wake up, I can now believe I'm alive. Like, that whole story just keeps rerunning through my head, and I just could not believe I survived that. I was 100%, without a doubt, 100% certain that this is how I die. I knew that I have to keep that promise. I promised God that if He saves me, I'm going to spend the rest of my life on His cause.